Zeus, king of the gods, master of the thunderbolt, and supposedly the most powerful dude in the universe. But what if his real legacy wasn't his power, but his mistakes? What if the entire history of Greek mythology, from the biggest heroes to the scariest monsters, was all built on his screw-ups? We see him as this pillar of strength, but Zeus had weaknesses that made him surprisingly relatable and, honestly, more human. His impulsiveness, that colossal ego, and his non-stop cheating weren't just personal problems. They were the architects of history. Today, we're not just listing Zeus's bad decisions. We're connecting the dots to show how his biggest mistake wasn't just one screw-up, but a pattern of behavior that created the entire world of Greek myth as we know it. The seeds of chaos, infidelity, and paranoia. To really get the chaos, you have to start at Zeus's own home on Mount Olympus. His marriage to Hera, the literal goddess of marriage, should have been a symbol of stability. Instead, it was the epicenter of divine drama. Zeus was famously unfaithful, having countless affairs with goddesses, nymphs, and mortal women. And these weren't just casual flings, they were cosmic events that sent shockwaves through the universe. Take Io, one of Hera's own priestesses. When Zeus decided he wanted her, he didn't just have a secret affair. He wrapped the entire world in clouds to hide what he was doing from his wife. When Hera got suspicious anyway, Zeus panicked and turned Io into a white cow to hide her. Smooth, right? But Hera was no fool. She demanded the cow as a gift and had it tormented by a gadfly, forcing poor Io, still a cow, to wander the earth in pure agony. Or look at Semele, a mortal princess pregnant with Zeus's son, the future god Dionysus. A disguised Hera befriended her and planted a simple seed of doubt. What if your lover isn't really Zeus? To prove it, Hera suggested, just ask him to show you his true, divine form. Bound by an oath to grant her anything, Zeus did, and his divine glory instantly turned her to ash. You see the pattern here, right? Zeus's lust creates a mess, and Hera's totally justified rage unleashes a whole new wave of suffering. His lovers were punished, and their children were often born with a giant target on their backs, hunted by the queen of the gods herself. This wasn't just a messy divorce. It was a factory for conflict, cranking out heroes and monsters whose tragic stories almost always started with Zeus's inability to keep it in his toga. But Zeus's problems went deeper than just lust. He was also completely paranoid, haunted by the fear that he'd be overthrown, just like he overthrew his own father, Cronus. This fear led to one of his most chilling moves, swallowing his first wife, Metis. Metis was the Titan goddess of wisdom, and a prophecy said she'd have a daughter, and then a son who would one day take Zeus's throne. To stop this, Zeus tricked Metis, turned her into a fly, and swallowed her. In doing so, he absorbed her wisdom, but he also absorbed his unborn daughter. This led to the absolutely bizarre birth of Athena, who later burst, fully grown and in battle armor, straight from Zeus's head after he complained of a skull-splitting headache. This paranoid act didn't just stop a prophecy, it created a brand new goddess of wisdom born directly from the mind of the king, forever tying intelligence to his own authority. The ripple effect, the rise of heroes and monsters. Zeus's personal drama didn't just stay on Olympus. It spilled all over the mortal world, creating the very heroes whose stories we still tell. So many of the most famous Greek heroes were illegitimate children of Zeus, and their lives were completely defined by the chaotic way they came into the world. Their quests, their tragedies, their biggest wins, it all came back to who their dad was. The most famous example is, of course, Heracles. Born from Zeus's affair with the mortal Alcmene, Heracles was enemy number one for Hera from the moment he was born. She sent snakes to kill him in his crib and basically dedicated her immortal life to making his mortal one a living hell. In fact, it was Hera's constant torment that drove Heracles mad, causing him to kill his own wife and children. His famous 12 labors weren't some grand quest for glory, they were a penance. An atonement for a crime he only committed because of the madness sent by his father's jealous wife. The entire legend of Heracles, the greatest Greek hero, was really just an elaborate, tragic cleanup of one of Zeus's messes. And he wasn't the only one. Perseus, another son of Zeus, was born after the god turned himself into a shower of gold to reach his mother, Danae, who was locked away in a bronze tower. The moment Perseus was born, he and his mother were thrown into the sea to die, their lives in danger simply because of who his father was. His whole heroic journey slaying Medusa, rescuing Andromeda was kicked off by the fallout from his father's actions. The pattern is crystal clear: Zeus has an affair, which creates a powerful demigod. Hera's revenge puts them in terrible danger. And their fight for survival becomes the stuff of legend. It's like the gods were playing chess with human lives, and Zeus was the guy who kept knocking over the board just for kicks. But it wasn't just heroes he created. The constant divine drama and the brutal punishments he handed out also filled the world with monsters and tormented souls. Zeus wasn't just a king, he was an accidental world builder, shaping the landscape of myth with every mistake he made. The unintended consequences, remaking the world. While Zeus's affairs created heroes, two of his other mistakes completely and permanently changed what it means to be human. These weren't about lust or jealousy. These were about pure power and control. It all started with Prometheus, the Titan who actually liked humanity. After Prometheus tricked Zeus during a sacrifice, Zeus got petty and hid fire from mortals, a tool they needed to build civilization. In a legendary act of defiance, Prometheus stole that fire back and gave it to humanity. Enraged that anyone would challenge his authority, Zeus came up with a two-part punishment. First, for Prometheus, he ordered eternal torment. The Titan was chained to a rock, where an eagle, Zeus's own symbol, would fly down every single day to eat his liver, only for it to grow back overnight. It was a gruesome, never-ending message to anyone who even thought about defying the king of Olympus. Second, and way more devastating for the rest of us, was Zeus's punishment for humanity. He ordered the creation of the first woman, Pandora. She was crafted to be a beautiful, but ultimately punishing, gift. And with her, she carried a jar often called a box that held all the evils of the world: sickness, death, misery, jealousy, and every other form of suffering you can imagine. Driven by a curiosity the gods themselves gave her, Pandora opened the jar, and all of it swarmed out, plaguing humanity forever. When she finally slammed the lid shut, only one thing was left inside: Elpis, which we usually translate as hope. For centuries, people have argued about this. Was leaving hope in the jar a final, twisted act of cruelty, or was it a tiny sliver of mercy? Is hope the one thing that helps us endure all the suffering, or is it the most sinister evil of all, just stringing us along with the false promise of a better tomorrow? Whatever you believe, the result was the same: Zeus, in a fit of rage, had single-handedly introduced hardship into the human experience and changed our world forever. These weren't just random stories, they were the foundation of everything. From the paranoia that birthed a goddess to the rage that unleashed suffering on the world, Zeus's flaws are the threads that hold the entire tapestry of Greek myth together. So what do you think? Was hope remaining in the jar a good thing, or was it the cruelest part of Zeus's punishment? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're enjoying this dive into divine dysfunction, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next messed up origin story. So, what was Zeus's biggest mistake? As we've seen, it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't one affair, one punishment, or one paranoid moment. His biggest mistake was a constant, catastrophic pattern of behavior. It was him,